Hey guys, so one of the sales guys in one of the companies that I run gave me a list of objections that he has heard over the past few weeks and asked that I record a quick video showing how I would handle each of those objections. And I thought this would be a pretty good opportunity to kind of record this as a tutorial or training about how to handle these types of sales objections on marketing agency sales calls. So I'm going to dive right into it and go through these like one at a time. Okay. Let's remember really quick notes. The goal isn't to avoid objections at all. Okay. The goal is two different things. The goal is to prevent objections. Okay. So imagine like the partner spouse objection, like, oh, I need to go talk to my partner about this and see if it's a good investment. The way to handle that, is to prevent it by asking at the beginning of the call, like, hey, by the way, is there anyone else who needs to be on this call with us? Is there any other decision makers in the company that needs to be on this with you, who might be making the marketing decisions with you, et cetera? Like drawing that out in the beginning of the call to prevent that objection is better than getting blindsided by it at the end of the call. Okay. Then again, instead of avoiding objections, we want to either prevent or actively find the objections. I'm mainly referring to like at the end of a call, before we roll into the price and the pitch and the offer. The goal is to actively dig up and find as many objections as possible, because the quicker we can find them and handle them, the less barrier and friction there is between, in front of the close, the deal actually getting done. Okay. So let's dive into these objections one at a time. It's too expensive. I need to think about it. Need to talk to someone else. No budget. Timing issue. What's the guarantee? Send me a proposal. Need more information. Can I speak to a reference? Okay, so I'm going to go over all of these individually, and I'll try to talk fast and get through this quickly, because quite frankly, this is a lot of objections here. It's a lot of stuff to go through. Okay, so too expensive. And by the way, this is mainly for agency owners who are selling like SEO, Google ads, Facebook ads, any like organic or paid marketing and advertising. Okay, so too expensive. And here's all my raw notes of like what comes to my mind and how I would handle that objection. Okay. So first of all, if they are saying it's too expensive, I like never ever get this objection at all, because I know how to create a very good, what we call price to value discrepancy. Okay. We use this example of like selling a Lamborghini. If I told you, hey, do you want to buy this Lamborghini? You'd be like, no, because in your head you're thinking that like that's too expensive. Even I'd be like, hell no, I'm not going to buy that freaking expensive of a car. But if I'm like, okay, well, what if I sold it to you for $500? You're like, holy crap. The price to value discrepancy is so large, you can't help but say yes, right? It's like, of course I would buy a Lamborghini for $500, even if I'm not in the market for it, right? When you want to buy this house for $10, yeah, of course. Like I'm using extreme examples, but there's such a huge gap. The obvious answer is yes, not no, right? So if the thing is too expensive, they're not wanting to move forward. We just haven't created a price to value discrepancy that's large. And quite frankly, creating a very large price to value discrepancy solves a lot of different objections. Okay. But that's a quick note as we move into this too expensive objection. Okay. Let's get an understanding of what they think it's supposed to cost. Okay. They say it's too expensive. Okay. Well, what were you expecting? What were you expecting it to cost? Or what have you seen other firms charge? Okay. And if we can pick up that they are thinking it's supposed to cost, $2.99, $3.99, like some of the other like spammy marketing companies out there, or marketing companies who are really software companies who are kind of trying to pull one over on the prospects. We all know really low quality marketing companies out there. If they think that's what it's supposed to cost because that's what they've seen elsewhere, we need to be prepared to very quickly position against those types of companies immediately. So like warn them about, those $3.99 marketing companies. Okay. So if someone said, oh, I thought this was supposed to cost like $3.99 a month, you could be like, $399? Like act surprised. And they're going to be like, yeah. And you can ask them a follow-up question like, well, where did you see that at? And they're going to be like, oh, this other company told me they charge $3.99. And you can tell them, well, here's the thing. And this is just friend to friend, you really want to be careful, Mr. Business Owner, about working with companies who charge $2.99, $3.99 per marketing. Please remember that we're talking about someone handling the most important function of your business, which is marketing and customer acquisition, right? This is like outsourcing, your medication or your doctor or hospital or whatever to some kind of, guy that you're going to pay $19 a month to come check up on you and see if you're all right. Like it's a stupid example, but like, man, we really don't want to outsource this. This is a critical function, right? You don't want to be going with the cheap guy. By the way, like you need to, like there needs to be some kind of red flag. Like you need to be kind of weary of people who charge that little, right? And then you can use an example in their own industry. Let's say you're talking to a roofer. You could say, hey man, like what would you think if I walked up to you and said, hey, I'll replace your entire roof for $600? You'd be thinking, well, like either they're skipping corners, they're not paying their guys, they're using shitty materials, like something is wrong. And Mr. Business Owner, that's exactly what you need to think whenever you hear that someone's charging you $3.99 for marketing. Okay, and hopefully that light bulb will go off and they'll understand it, right? Another good question to ask is like compared to what? I know that's kind of a cliche way to handle this objection, but if they're like, it's too expensive, compared to what? Like, what do you think is expensive? And this kind of goes back to here, like get an understanding of what they think it's supposed to cost. We just want some information, like truly what price were they expecting, okay? Another funny thing to do, if you're selling SEO specifically, is type in how much does SEO cost on Google. I can go here and do this. How much does SEO cost? And right here it says SEO campaigns can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000 a month. Okay, average SEO costs $100 to $300 per hour. Okay, so you can pull that up and be like, see, Mr. Business Owner, like it's not $300 a month, it's $300 an hour. And typically, SEO companies are going to be charging you $3,000-$5,000 per month. Now, luckily, we are very competitively priced. We're not $3,000 or $5,000 a month, but we're also not $300. And just trust me when I say, if someone's trying to sell you SEO, whether you buy from us or not or whatever, if someone's trying to sell you SEO for $300 or $400, like run for the hills, because that's like buying a roof for $500, like we talked about. Okay, that should be a big red flag to you. Okay. Here's another thing. Ask them how much they think their top competitor invests in marketing. Okay. You should have already asked them by this point in the conversation what they're doing for marketing, what their competitors are doing for marketing, all of that discovery information, right? So you should kind of know like what their competitor's name is, right? Let's say they talked about their competitor who's like Joey the roofer or whatever, and he's the top dog in the market and he gets all the customers, et cetera, and he's a $10 million company. Ask them like, Joey, he's crushing it. The guy you told me about earlier, Joey the roofer. How much do you think he invests in marketing per month? Do you think Joey the roofer with his $10 million company got to where he is by spending $399 per month on marketing? Okay. We're trying to get them to understand like they need to start investing in their company. And what we do, and this is, you can go down this word track, what we do is we essentially alleviate you of the need to go hire a super expensive marketing director and pay $80,000 per year for someone in that position. We do all that for less than a part-time employee's salary. We will do your SEO, your organic, your advertising, weekly reports, monthly reports. You get a dedicated account manager, value stack. And all for the cost of less than what a McDonald's fry cook gets paid. Okay. Price to value discrepancy. Okay. So trying to explain to them like, hey, this is what your big competitor is doing. Although he probably has like in-house marketing people that he's paying, 50, 60, 70, 80 grand a year. But we can do all that probably better than them for less than half the cost. Again, it's all about price to value discrepancy. Okay. Another way to handle this is really getting clear with them about like, well, what's the main focus, like price or quality? They're like, oh, this is too expensive. Okay, so are you just trying to find like the cheapest marketing solution you can right now? Or do we want to go the path of like, paying for marketing that's really gonna work? Because if you're just trying to check a box and like, I checked the marketing box, I just got, super cheap, like discount marketing. If that's what you're trying to do, I can refer you to someone else. That's not really what we are. But if you want marketing that works, that does cost money. Now, luckily for you, we're very competitively priced. We're not going to charge near as much as what some of the other big firms do. But we do charge enough to make sure we have the funds needed to pay for our cost of goods sold, aka the professionals that we have on our team that are going to do the marketing right and make sure that you get a return on your marketing. Does that make sense? And so that's a lot of ways to handle that one. Good grief, I'm already 10 minutes into this video. Holy crap! All right, next one. Need to think about it. Sure thing. I have about 18 more minutes budgeted here. What's the main thing you're thinking about? Try to draw out the objection. Or usually people tell me that it's not time they need, it's information. So what information are you needing, right? Or like, I need time to think about it. It's like, really? You don't need time. You need information. Because if you had all the information that you needed to make the decision, you'd be making it right now. So what information are you missing? And just try to draw out the objection, okay? Okay, here's a interesting one. Only if rapport is amazing, you can go down the personal coaching route. Right, so they have a solution right in front of them that's going to help them grow their business and change their life, but they're not taking it. Why? Right, like you have this major problem we've been discussing. I put to you a solution right in front of you that's going to solve it, but for some reason you're not reaching out and grabbing it. And I've already told you that our price is extremely fair, actually less than what it should be. What's going on? You're so sick and you have the medicine right in front of you, but you're not taking it. Like, what is wrong? That's the picture we're trying to paint, okay? So you can kind of like go down this personal coaching route where you're basically like, oh, it all makes sense now. Like, it makes sense why you've been stuck at this revenue level like you were telling me earlier. This isn't a marketing issue. This is like a decision-making ability issue, right? Because right now you have a major issue and there's a solution right in front of you, but you're not grabbing it. So now the pieces are coming together. It kind of makes sense that you're still at this revenue level. Again, you can only go down this route if your rapport with them is amazing. The way I would tee it up is by asking them for permission to be blunt with them, right? So you've talked about everything, like everything's all good. They should be moving forward, but for some reason they're not. You can be like, hey, Dave, can I be blunt with you about something? Is that cool? You mind if I kind of give you a little bit of coaching? Like, are you okay with that? Are you comfortable with that? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, are you sure you're not going to virtually punch me in the face and leave after I tell you something very blunt? And they're like, yeah, I'm sure. Okay, cool. Now I have permission to tell them whatever the hell I want. Okay. So I can go down this path of basically telling them like, hey man, I'm kind of starting to see why you're stuck. Like you were telling me about earlier. You told me you've been stuck at the same revenue level for a decade. It's starting to make sense, to be completely honest. Do you want to know why? Here we have this big problem that you and I have dissected and diagnosed. We also have a very simple, cost-effective solution to fix it. But for whatever reason, you're not taking it. It makes sense why you've been stuck for a decade. If when you have the perfect solution right in front of you, you're not just like reaching out and grabbing it. Like, help me make sense of that. And so go down the path of like coaching them through what proper decision-making looks like. Because I know in my career, like one of the main reasons I've been successful at any capacity is because if an opportunity is placed in front of me and I view that opportunity as having even a 51% chance of helping me grow my business, I reach out and I freaking grab it, right? And so we need to walk these business owners through the decision-making process if they're not used to making critical decisions like this, okay? This is definitely going to have to be 2 videos. Next one, need to talk to someone else. Who? First of all, like they're probably going to say it. Like, I need to talk to my business partner about this or whatever. I like to ask them right after, like, okay, like, so you need to talk to your business partner, Jane. Is Jane aware of kind of the issues we were talking about earlier and the lack of your ability to, like, the lack of control you have over customer acquisition? Is she aware of that? Oh yeah, she's fully aware of that. Okay. Does she know you're on this call right now? Like, is she aware that you're trying to find a solution for that pretty damn critical problem? Yeah, she is. Okay. So she's aware of the problem. She's aware that you're looking for a solution, etc. Do you think she would like absolutely hate you if you found a solution and acted on it? Right. I don't know. I know where you're going with this, man, but I just don't know if I can move forward right now and everything. It's like, okay, well, like, tell me, like, if Jane didn't exist, I should have wrote this one down here I should have wrote this one down as well. It's pretty critical. We need to tie down or like isolate the reason why they're not moving forward. So I want to make sure that Jane is the only problem for sure. So I will do this kind of tie down, if you will. So what you're telling me, Dave, is if Jane didn't exist, if you didn't have to take Jane into consideration, we'd be moving forward right now? Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Okay, cool. So Jane's aware of the problem. Jane's aware that you're trying to find a solution. On a side note, if Jane didn't exist, you'd be moving forward right now. So you are completely sold that this is absolutely the path forward. Is all that correct? Okay, cool. Well, here's what we're going to do. And notice I'm not asking, I'm telling, I'm leading, okay? Here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and take a $500 refundable deposit, literally just so my team can onboard you and get the process moving forward so we don't have to wait until next week or whenever it is that you're going to be able to talk to Jane. And what I want you to do is go have a conversation with Jane, fill her in on what we talked about, the problems you're facing, the solutions that we can put into place, the timeline, pretty much everything we talked about. And according to what you're saying, she should be on board, right? If for whatever reason she's not, I've like caused some kind of business partner breakup and like she hates you and this is terrible, just hit me up and I'll refund you the deposit. It's totally cool. But I imagine that she's going to be all right with it. So how about that? Let's just move forward with a quick $500 refundable deposit. You can go talk to Jane. And in the meantime, that allows my team to get started. Does that make sense? Does that sound fair? It's probably a better one to go with. Does that sound fair? And so see what they say after that. Okay. So deposit close. All right. No budget. Oh, by the way, obviously the best way to prevent this one is by preventing it at the beginning of the call by asking them if there's someone else who needs to be on the call. You know what? I'll probably go ahead and stop that video here. That's a long video. I'll record another one about these other ones, such as no budget, timing issues, proposal information, and can I speak to a reference? Thanks. Okay, part 2 of this objection handling training. I'll try to make this much faster. Okay, let's dive right into the next one. No budget. Okay, they say, yeah, this all sounds great. They don't really have an issue with like the value of the service or how it's been explained or whatever, but they're just saying they don't have any budget. Okay, well, let's go back to talking about their revenue goals. Okay, if they're telling us that they are a $200,000 per year company and they want to get to $1 million annual run rate, but now they're telling us they don't have the budget for it. Like, we need to inject some reality into the conversation. Okay, we need to show them that there's probably most of the time a big difference between what they're telling us their goals are and what they're telling us they want to invest to get there, right? So bring back up the revenue goals they said they had, which you should have figured out in the discovery portion of the sales call. So that way you can contrast that against everything they're saying now, which is, oh, now I don't want to spend money. Now I don't want to invest to get there. I want to make $1 million, but $500 a month for marketing is too much. Like, we need to call that shit out and bring it to the surface. Okay. Calculate your offer as a percentage of the revenue goal. This is a fun exercise as well, just to create that contrast. Okay. Let's say their revenue goal is $1 million annually, like we just said. Okay. And you're proposing to them a $1,500, or let's say like a $750 per month, like, marketing package where you're managing their Facebook ads or something. Okay. So what that means is 750 times 12, 9,000. So they're going to spend $9,000 a year. Okay. And 9,000 into $1 million is going to be like 0.09%. Okay. So we need to be able to bring that up to them and be like, hey, you want to reach $1 million annual revenue, but you're not willing to spend 0.9%, like less than, I think I did the math wrong, but I think it's like 0.9% of your revenue on marketing. Okay. And then we can ask about their competitors, like, hey, Joey, the roofer down the street, your main competitor who's crushing it, what percentage of his revenue do you think he's spending? You think he's spending 0.9%? He's probably spending closer to like 8, 9, 10% because he's really aggressive, right? And that's why he owns Joey's Roofing and they're crushing it. Okay. So again, just creating some contrast around what they've showed you that they're willing to do and what they should be willing to do if they're wanting to grow that quickly, right? Make sure they know at some point they will need to start investing. Okay. Downsell to a low maintenance package if they truly don't have the budget. Okay. This is why it's good to have products on the shelf and have a downsell, right? You can have your like $2,500 per month SEO and Google ads package. And then you can have a $1,500 per month just paid ads management package. And then you can have like a $750 per month, $750 per month Google Guaranteed Management Package. Okay. The goal is to have products on the shelf to where even if someone truly doesn't have the budget, you have something to sell them just to get them in your customer base. And then, of course, the goal for them, and you can be transparent and tell them this, is for them to start landing some deals from that small marketing channel and roll some of the profits back into the big boy marketing that you know they need to do in order to achieve the goals they told you they wanted to achieve. Okay. Timing issue. As a timing issue, it's not really, it's probably not best that we get started right now, whatever they're going to say. Okay. Maybe we should get started in a couple of weeks. We actually hear that one a lot, right? Because they're just trying to push it back. It's just a smokescreen, right? You know what? Maybe we'll want to get started in a couple of weeks. Okay. Always be willing to ask the question why. Get more information into why they're wanting to push this back. Okay. Also, be able and willing to morph their bad timing into perfect timing, and also even adjust like pricing and timelines. So here's what I mean by that, by bad timing into perfect timing. This happened not too long ago. Someone was going to get started with us for marketing consulting. And they were like, you know what, this all sounds good, but I'm about to go out of town, and then something else is coming up. We're going to a wedding. And so it's kind of a timing issue. It might be better for us to get started in like 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. I would simply just tell them like, okay, well, one thing we are sure about is we want to move forward, right? It's simply just the timing issue. You're saying that's what you're saying, right? So I'm gonna get that tie down. Like they are for sure wanting to move forward. Okay. I'm isolating the objection. And I would say, you know what? This might actually work out perfectly. Because if what you're saying is you're going out of town for the next week and then you have a wedding, if we onboard you tomorrow morning and we have everything that we need, that gives my team a couple weeks to get everything up and running. So literally right when you come back, we're ready to get our stuff approved and have it launched. Does that make sense? So you can see what I'm doing there. It's like they're trying to say this is why we shouldn't get started. And I'm saying, oh, actually, that's the reason why it's perfect timing to get started. Okay. And obviously don't do that unless you truly can work it out in their favor. Like I just said, like, oh, you want to wait? Well, how about we get started and we start doing the work while you're waiting or while you're doing something else, right? So try to adjust bad timing into perfect timing. And most of the time it's very possible and easy to do that. Okay. Also, you can adjust pricing and timelines. Okay. Like payment 1 now, and then instead of payment 2 instead of doing payment 2 in a month from now, do it in 6 weeks from now, right? So in that particular situation where they're like, we want to get started, but we have this wedding and we're traveling and all this stuff, say, okay, well, actually that may work out perfectly, because if we get started today and do your onboarding call tomorrow and we get everything we need from you, that gives us a couple weeks for us to get everything up and running. So that way, when you get back, we can have it all ready for you and be ready to launch. And also just to make things super fair, since you're going to be out of town these next couple weeks, I can just make your first month with us 6 weeks long instead of 4 weeks long, right? So we'll get started right now. We'll take the payment. Tomorrow we'll do your onboarding call. We'll give you 6 weeks before your next billing cycle instead of just 4, and we'll be ready to launch everything by the time you get back from the wedding you're attending. Does that make sense? Or does that sound fair or whatever? And usually they're going to be good with that. So try to turn bad timing into perfect timing. Okay. What's the guarantee? You must be ready and willing to position against their desire for a guarantee. Okay. By position against, I mean make the other companies who are offering guarantees look stupid. Okay. So something like you need to really be careful working with marketing firms who tell you they can guarantee results. I, for one, don't have the audacity to tell you I can guarantee that I know how to manipulate a $1.3 trillion platform like Google. This is obviously if you're selling SEO and Google ads. Okay. And then also go down the line of like, there are no guarantees in marketing. There are guaranteed plans, but never guaranteed outcomes, right? So again, this whole thing of like, hey, be careful of other marketing companies telling you they can guarantee results. They don't control these platforms. They don't control Google. They don't control Facebook. Like I don't have the audacity to say so myself, right? So start to position against people who do say they have guarantees. Okay, so all I'm doing right here is taking the very thing that they want, flipping it and saying, no, actually, that's what you don't want. Actually, that's a bad thing. And in doing so, I'm painting myself in a good light. I don't have guarantees, therefore that is a good thing. I don't have guarantees, therefore you can trust me more, okay? Of course, blanket statement, there are no guarantees in marketing. Explain the ABC simple game plan of how exactly we're going to produce a result and an outcome, and then ask them if they can clearly see how we or anyone can't necessarily make guarantee claims about this type of platform, but instead we can commit to executing this entire plan, which will help their company grow, but will sometimes happen slower or faster, etc. Right? And they'll be on board. They will understand if you're being transparent and explaining to them realistically how marketing works. Very soon, the scales of guarantee desire will fall off their eyes, and they'll be like, oh yeah, this makes sense. Okay, like you have a game plan. Sometimes it's going to take 3 months, sometimes it's going to take 5 months, but like the process works. You just can't guarantee how fast it's going to work for XYZ reason, right? Like most prospects are reasonable and they will understand it. And if you've done this first part, they will be glad and sometimes even thanking you that you exposed how crazy the other guarantee whatever offers are that they almost acted on or whatever. Okay, so anyways, that's how I handle that. Pretty simple. Send me a proposal. Treat this like an objection. Okay. I see so many agency owners lose deals because of this objection. At the end of a call, someone's like, yeah, all this sounds great. Just send me a proposal and we'll go from there. No, do not do that. That's like the killer of a deal. Just sending them a proposal to their email and waiting for them to get back to you. Proposals are like where deals go to die. Okay. So what you want to do is treat this like an objection. Okay. Let me role play this. If someone says, yeah, all this sounds great, just send me a proposal and we'll go from there. I would just tell them, okay, cool. Like glad you're wanting to move forward. About proposals, we don't sim proposals, quite frankly, because this call we're on right now is the proposal. We've been over pretty much scope of work, everything we're going to roll out for you, the pricing, the timelines, all that stuff. Is there anything you feel like I left out, or is there something you don't understand? And I'm just going to try to draw out an objection, okay? Because what I said is true. This call was the proposal. They have everything they need. They know what we're going to do, how much it costs, all of it. And they said it was good. So why the heck are we not moving forward right now? So I'm going to tell them all that and then try to draw out an objection. Ask them like, okay, well, is there anything you misunderstood or anything you feel like I left out? Because you're asking for more information. You're asking for a proposal. So like, what info do you feel like you need, right? Just trying to get to an objection and then we can handle it and then hopefully move forward, okay? Need more information. Same as need to think about it, okay? If they're saying they need more information, you can just go down the same path, okay, of need to think about it. I'm not going to cover that again. And then can I speak to a reference? Politely tell them that we don't ask our clients to act as salespeople on behalf of our company. We respect their privacy just as we'd respect your privacy if you were to work with us. We can, however, show you some examples of results we've produced. And by the way, do that live on a sales call. Don't send it later or push the sales process down the road. Don't like, hey, I can send you some case studies after we get off the call. That immediately insinuates that we're not moving forward right now, okay? Oh yeah, let me send you some case studies. I'll email that to you here in a little bit. You just told them pretty directly, actually, that we're not moving forward right now, okay? You just killed your own deal, okay? So tell them like, yeah, we typically don't like give out client information. Just how if you're a client, we're not going to be giving out your information to everyone who's thinking about working with us as if you're some salesperson on our company, right? Does that make sense? So we try to be fair and make sure we respect people's privacy. By the way, what I just did right there, I said, we try to be fair and respect people's privacy. Immediately, I took a moral frame. I took a moral position, which is the hardest frame to combat. So the second I say, hey, we don't give out references because we want to respect people's privacy and we want to be fair and not treat our customers like salespeople. We don't do this because of this moral reason and this moral reason. I've now established a moral frame as to why I'm not doing something, and they can't argue against it without seeming immoral. Like, what are they going to say? Nah, you should break that moral code of yours and you should treat your clients like a salesperson. You should give me their information even though they haven't given you permission. Like, they're not going to say any of that, right? So I've established the moral frame around like, hey, we respect our clients' privacy in the same way that we would respect your privacy if you hopped on board with us, right? And 9.9 times out of 10, it's a positive feedback. Like they respect that a lot. Okay. So, but then of course be willing and able and ready to show them results like live on the sales call right then and there. Okay. Okay, that about covers it, guys. By the way, going back to the very first slide in the very first video, or one of these slides, the goal is to prevent and or actively find objections, okay? At the end of the call, we are looking for objections. Before we roll out the price, before we like really tell them what the full offer is and price present, we are trying to find objections because we need to handle them before the deal can move forward, okay? And I'll leave you with one last tip. One really good way to find lingering objections is to ask them the magic question right before the price of, other than price, is there any reason why you wouldn't move forward today? Okay. So that question, regardless of how you word it, a lot of different people word it in different ways. That question is designed to help you draw to the surface, draw up any objections that could potentially come to bite you in the butt later on if you don't bring them to the surface now. Because let's say you don't ask that question. And by the way, the question again is, and this is like after you've talked about what you do and they're excited, they're on board, and they're like, okay, cool, tell me what the price is, right? That point in the conversation, what you say is, cool, yeah, let me go ahead and dive into the investment right here in just a second. Really quick though, before I do, you're just wanting to know about the price, because like everything else is good, right? Like other than price, there's no reason why you wouldn't move forward today. Okay. And by the way, practice that. Don't say it as terrible as I just said it. Practice it, nail it down, write it down, say it over and over to where you can get it to where you say it very smoothly. Other than price, is there any reason why you wouldn't move forward today? Okay. And again, the goal is to drum up any objections, because if you don't ask that question and you just roll straight into price and then later on they have an objection, you don't really know if it's a smokescreen objection because they don't like the price, or if it is about the price, or it's about something else they haven't brought up or anything. We just don't know where we're at. Okay. So whenever you say, hey, other than price, which I'm about to cover, is there any reason why we wouldn't be moving forward today? We give them the opportunity to bring up a concern. And then what do? We handle that objection, and then we circle back around and ask the same question. Okay, cool. Now that we covered that, is there any reason why you wouldn't move forward today? But real quick before we hop into the price. And then we're either going to draw up another objection, handle it, and circle back around, or they're going to be like, no, honestly, like I'm good to go. Barring the price being ridiculous, I think I'm in, right? And then we move into the price and we go from there. Okay. Having said that, I'll shut up and stop this video. That was a lot of objection handling stuff. We cover a lot of the stuff in Agency Collective. So if you're not an Agency Collective, go ahead and hop on board. We have a free trial, and we do sales clinics weekly, and we talk about agency sales and client acquisition pretty much on a daily basis. So having said that, thanks.